So what Culture Wrestling have been doing a lot of these rebooking videos with the past 2-3 years, and some of them I agree with. Some of them I actually think that they are better than the actual storylines, but I don't think that all of them are. There are some things that are very just insane ideas that I don't think would work. There are things that I think that, even especially with hindsight, you can't really fix, and there are things that could have been fixed better. Now they say they can do it better, but I say I can do it better. Ding! Anyways, you got the Hall of Pain, which is, you can't argue that it is the best run in Mark Henry's entire career in the WWE. It's definitely his highlight. If he goes into, once he goes into the Hall of Fame, I'm not going to say he won if he goes to, because he's definitely going to go in the Hall of Fame. That Hall of Pain run will be a huge part of it. You're going to talk about Sexual Chocolate. You're going to talk about stuff with Mae Young. You're going to be talking about his run in the Nation. You're going to be talking about his Olympic, background. Either way, the Hall of Pain is definitely the biggest part of his career. And 5 years ago is when that Hall of Pain was in its highest of highs, and that was when Mark Henry beat Randy Orton at Night of Champions 5 years ago, in September 18th, 2011. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rebook his run, because here's the thing. The Hall of Pain started months before that, but it didn't really kickstart until Money in the Bank. He was a heel for 2 months and was directionless. Now what Adam said, Adam Blanchard from What Culture, what he said was he's going to start from Money in the Bank. He's going to start it off with Big Show versus Mark Henry, at Money in the Bank. I'm going to start even earlier, because the idea he had was, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to have him tease a retirement, do his come out there and make him a tweener. It's very weird the way he made it look, because he wanted the fans' sympathy, because he's trying to do whatever it takes to have that final huge run, hold that world title and make his career matter, but at the same time he's a heel. There's a difference between someone that is so likable, like a Daniel Bryan, that is forced to become a heel, that is forced to, fight dirty. So you can actually empathize with something like that. You can empathize with Stone Cold being an anti-hero. You can empathize with Bret Hart saying, I'm being fucked by the system, so I'm gonna fuck it right back. There is a difference. But with Mark Henry, you can't really do that with a monster, because you look at him, you can't sympathize with him, because what it was, let's look at the original Hall of Pain. Let's look at his original run around that time. He was drafted to SmackDown. He attacked Rey Mysterio. Then on SmackDown, he attacked the Big Show. And Big Show, around this time, Big Show was actually feuding with Alberto Del Rio, because Alberto ran over Kane, and Big Show was calling out Del Rio, and then Mark Henry came out instead, attacked Big Show. Then Big Show had a match with Alberto Del Rio at Capital Punishment instead of Mark Henry, and then Mark Henry interfered. ADR won via technical knockout. They went on, and Mark Henry wasn't even on the show. He wasn't even on Over the Limit, which I believe it was before that, but he wasn't, anywhere near that. He wasn't on Extreme Rules. He was directionless for like 2 months when he was, because I do believe that when the writers said, okay, we're going to put him on SmackDown, they really didn't know what to do with him. Because they broke him off from MVP, which I thought was just a stupid idea. And he was directionless. Like, they didn't know what to do. Like, they said, okay, we'll put him on SmackDown. Maybe the writers on SmackDown will find something for him because we don't know what to do with him on Raw. So they were like, okay, we'll put him on SmackDown. And they turned him heel because they already have a babyface in the Big Show and Kane, so you can't have too many babyfaces. You had Khali as well on SmackDown, so another heel. Yeah, they didn't know what to do. So he had his match with Big Show at Money in the Bank. He beat the Big Show, and then he broke his leg, went on to SummerSlam, beat Sheamus via countout after destroying him through the barricade, went on to Night of Champions, won the title against Randy Orton in a very convincible fashion, beat Randy Orton again at Hell in a Cell, then broke the ring with the Big Show at Vengeance, then went on to Survivor Series. I think he won by DQ. In an actual good match. It was a good match. The matches that they had, Henry and Big Show did, I thought were good. Like, they were enjoyable. Then you go on to TLC, where Big Show beat Mark Henry for the title, and then Daniel Bryan, after 2 minutes, 2 minutes later, he cashed in his Money in the Bank and won the title. Big celebration, went on to Rumble, triple threat in a cage. Daniel Bryan retained, and then Mark Henry was pushed to the side. He lost against Big Show in 5 minutes on SmackDown, then went on to WrestleMania and was part of Team Johnny against Team Teddy, and then he was pushed aside because I think he had an injury or something like that. Had to take that, to take care of that, and that was it. That was the end of the Hall of Pain. Very, very horrible way to end it, if you're going to ask me. So what Adam Blanchard from What Culture did was he's going to have the fans empathize with him and have Mark Henry go on to Money in the Bank and beat the Big Show like he did, and have a match with Sheamus where it ends in a double count out. I understand that. Have Mark Henry beat Randy Orton for the title, and then go on to this is weird. Like the way he structured it. He beat Sheamus on Vengeance, and then he keeps that title on because he's just he's winning his matches very flukishly, and he finally drops the title at the Rumble to Sheamus because, well, no, he didn't drop the title to Sheamus. He drops the title to Daniel Bryan at TLC, and then he beats. I think he beats Big Show. He drops the title to Daniel Bryan. Then he wins the Royal Rumble. Mark Henry wins the Rumble. Goes on to WrestleMania. Sheamus wins like the Elimination Chamber in between, and in the first few seconds it would work out the same way. It would be a triple threat match between Daniel Bryan, Mark Henry, and Sheamus at WrestleMania, and it would do the same thing with Daniel Bryan kissing AJ, and then he gets bro kicked, and then World's Strongest Slam, then he gets eliminated because it's a three-way dance. Then you have Sheamus versus Mark Henry, and Sheamus beats Mark Henry after delivering a few bro kicks, and the idea would be that he's going to make Mark Henry look like Ric Flair when he was retired in WrestleMania 24, where he was like, come on, do it, and he's like egging Sheamus on and telling him, come on, do it, pull the trigger. And then he gets, bro kicked twice and then pinned 1, 2, 3. And that would be like, Mark Henry's retirement. Yeah. The way he structured it, like it had a good structure. It had a good base, I thought. But I don't think Henry is the right guy to do it with. If you're going to do it with someone like a seasoned veteran like let's say Triple H or The Undertaker or even Kane, if you're going to do it with someone like that that's been around for a long time and is well respected, and not a journeyman like Mark Henry, the kind of guy that is always called upon when you need a storyline, because Mark Henry was always a good hand. He was always the kind of guy that would be like, we got someone that we want to put over, we need Mark Henry to put him over. When you have a guy like John Cena or like a Punk or a Daniel Bryan, we need to put over this guy, we need like a big hill for him to climb. Let's put Mark Henry in that mix. Let's put Big Show in that mix. Let's put Kane in that mix. Because those guys are always the guys that have, I wouldn't say they're jobbers, but they're good in a sense of how in the early 90s we had guys like Jake the Snake Roberts, Rick Rude, and Mr. Perfect. They weren't, and Roddy Piper in some aspects. They were guys that were well respected enough that when you put them in a match with a new guy, you really don't know who's going to win. Because this guy's well respected, yet this guy is new. You can't bury him. So you got to put him in the ring with someone that is like a Mark Henry, like a Big Show, like a Kane. Because if that guy beats him, it adds to his stock. It's like, in NXT when you had Rhino, where Rhino was putting over guys like Baron Corbin and Samoa Joe. Yeah, Rhino isn't that big of a star, but he's a star nonetheless. So beating him would just, raise your stardom. So the way that I would do it would be way different. Because here's the thing. SmackDown at that time was considered a very distant B show. It wasn't like what it was in 2009, like 2 years prior, or even a little bit from early 2010, because in 2011 it was gutted. You didn't have Rey Mysterio. Yeah, you had the super shows on Raw, but you didn't have the super shows on SmackDown. Like, you didn't see Raw guys on SmackDown, but you did see SmackDown guys on Raw. You didn't get The Undertaker. The Undertaker was always away, This was the time where he had that year-long absence after WrestleMania. He wasn't on SmackDown. You didn't have Triple H. You didn't have the bigger names, like Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. CM Punk went to Raw. You didn't have Edge who retired earlier. Kane was run over, and I believe that Del Rio went to Raw. So it was absolutely demolished. All you had was Christian and Randy Orton on top. That's how much that they struggled. They were like, we're going to put Christian in the main event. Because believe me, if it was 2009, Christian wouldn't even be anywhere near the main event. Thank God he had ECW. Because a lot of people were saying, okay, Christian is going to come back and he's going to be part of that Hardy storyline and he's going to be pushed in the main event. No, I don't think that for 1 second, because Christian cannot reach that. Same thing with Mark Henry. If it wasn't for the fact that it was absolutely gutted, Mark Henry wouldn't even have his run in 2011, which is arguably the best run of 2011. You can argue and say like Summer of Punk, but Summer of Punk was absolutely flawed. Was just, so many horrible decisions that were made in that Summer of Punk that it didn't reach its full potential. But Hall of Pain, I thought it exceeded the expectations, but now in hindsight, I think it could have been better. It could have been even much, much better. It could have been like one of the greatest runs of all time, not just, Mark Henry's greatest run. And I think you could have had a lot of amazing matches. So now that I've rambled on, and I will ramble on even more, so stop this video and watch something else if you don't care to hear me ramble. Because I will be talking a lot in detail in what I want to do with Mark Henry. Because Mark Henry is a very good heel and a very good piece of clay that you can mold and have amazing matches with, because he's like the kind of guy that is a good base, like a Kevin Nash, you know, or a Yokozuna or a Mabel, because those guys aren't necessarily great wrestlers, but just their physical stature and having an underdog going against them makes that match even more interesting. And even having him with a bigger guy, again, more interesting. Having him with a smaller guy, more interesting. Having him with a guy that is on his level, again, more interesting. You can do so much with a guy that size. It's not like Big Show, where he can only face smaller guys. If he faces bigger guys, he's not going to have a great match, unless it's The Undertaker. If it's anyone else on his level, like a Kevin Nash, which is just weird because a lot of people have been saying, like, it's a dream match, what Kevin Nash against the Big Show? It would be a horrible match. Trust me. It would be horrible. I've seen it on Nitro. It was horrible. So having like that same, it's not as good. It's not as appealing as having like Big Show against a smaller guy, or Kevin Nash against like a Shawn Michaels against a Bret Hart. You know, a guy that's smaller than him. You know, so that's the thing with Mark Henry. He can have great matches with all sorts of people, and it still will be an interesting match. You will still enjoy the match, which I think makes him one of the most underrated guys in wrestling, because unlike Big Show and Kane, he still keeps his matches interesting. So here's my now we'll get to the booking. We start off with April 27, and that was when he was drafted to SmackDown. I wouldn't turn him heel. No. Don't turn him heel just yet, because it was so abrupt. It was like he turned heel. Okay, what are we going to do with him? I don't know. We'll put him in number one contenders matches and just, you know, let him be the guy that almost got it but didn't. And then 3 months later, it's like, holy shit, we don't have any main eventers. Okay, we'll put him on the main event. We'll try. It's September. Nobody's watching SmackDown. Who cares about SmackDown, right? We'll put the title on him. We'll see what happens. And then it worked. And then they struggled and were like, holy shit, we need to take the title away from him because it's near Royal Rumble. Okay, we'll take the title away from him. So it was just stupid. Okay, what do we do to fix it? Draft him to SmackDown. Have, you know, Kane and Big Show were tag team champions around this time, so I would have the core attack Kane and destroy Kane and just take him out. Just do something like in the parking lot or something like that and take him out. Because I believe it was like a week later, or 3 days later, because Friday Night SmackDown, 3 days later, they had Extreme Rules. It was the first pay-per-view after the draft. So Extreme Rules was May 1st, I believe. So May 1st, you do the core against Big Show and a mystery partner. And who it is? Mark Henry. Mark Henry comes out and he is teaming up with the Big Show to defend the tag titles. And they win. Have them, you know, retain the tag titles against Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel. The core is just, you know, distraught about it and just, you know, pissed off about it. And they're, you know, fighting amongst themselves while Big Show and Mark Henry are celebrating. SmackDown. After that, we have, you know, Big Show and Mark Henry beat a couple of jobbers. And then they're celebrating with the tag titles and happy about it. And Big Show, you know, it looks like Big Show found his perfect partner. Then the core comes out and destroys them. Week after that, we have Ezekiel Jackson defeat Mark Henry. But we have Big Show beat Justin Gabriel. Week after that, we have Wade Barrett beat Mark Henry. But we have Big Show beat Heath Slater. Week after that, we have Ezekiel Jackson and Wade Barrett decide to challenge for the tag titles at the following pay-per-view, which I believe is Over the Limit. And we have, you know, Ezekiel Jackson and Wade Barrett beat a couple of jobbers on SmackDown, and then Mark Henry and Big Show, come into the ring, and then they destroy Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel while Ezekiel Jackson and Wade Barrett, walk away. Ezekiel's trying to, get into the ring, but Wade Barrett is pulling him back. We'll get him on Sunday. Don't worry about it. We'll get him on Sunday. We'll take those tag titles. Which at Over the Limit, they do. They take the tag titles from Mark Henry and the Big Show by pinning Mark Henry. Now, Big Show is like, don't worry about it. That's okay. That's fine. We'll get him next time. That's cool. Don't worry about it. Mark Henry is like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about it. Wade Barrett and Ezekiel Jackson are new tag team champions. On SmackDown, we have Kane return. And Kane returns and says to Big Show, while Big Show's talking to Mark Henry backstage, we have Kane come out and says, yeah, I had a weird month-long vacation. Like Big Show says, how you been doing? Has the hospital, fixed you up? And Kane said, well, it was a good vacation, I have to say. But now I'm back, and let's get those punks and take those tag titles. They walk away from the scene while Mark Henry is forgotten. He's standing there like they're not even acknowledging him, and Mark Henry's just saddened about it. Week after that, we have Mark Henry. Then the week after that, we have a sit-down interview with Mark Henry. Mark Henry is like, I don't know what to do anymore because I feel like I've been losing it these past couple of months. My partner, my former partner, left this company. Talking about MVP, left this company, left me high and dry. I've been having problems at home. I don't know what to do. Blah 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 blah. Okay, And then they're like, what is it in the future? Like Michael Cole would tell Mark Henry, what is in the future of Mark Henry? And Mark Henry says, I don't know. I don't know if wrestling is in my future. And then he gets out of the interview booth. So we don't see him for a while. Capital Punishment comes around. And Kane and Big Show are so close in beating Wade Barrett and Ezekiel Jackson. Mark Henry comes out. And you'd think that he would help out Big Show and Kane to battle against the Core, but instead he attacks Big Show and Kane. Attacks them both, throws Big Show out of the ring, destroys Kane, and then puts Big Show through the announcer's table on the outside, and he attacks Kane multiple times and World's Strongest Slam on a steel chair. Leading up to Money in the Bank, we'll have a couple of matches on SmackDown between Kane and Mark Henry where they cannot be contained. Till the go-home show, well, the week before the go-home show, we have a street fight between Kane and Mark Henry. So Kane and Mark Henry have their match in the street fight, and you have Mark Henry go over by attacking Kane's ribs multiple times, and then finally he defeats Kane. And after the match, he's about to destroy Kane. And who comes out? The Big Show. Big Show comes out, and we haven't seen him since Capital Punishment, which is 2 weeks. Big Show comes out, he's hobbling around, and he attacks Mark Henry. Mark Henry, runs off and says, "My time. We'll see each other when I say it's right. When my time is right. Okay? I pick the time. I pick the moment where we face off against each other." Then the following week, we have qualifying matches. We have the final qualifying matches for Money in the Bank to fill the last 2 slots. And of course, we have Big Show win against, you can be anybody. You can have him against anybody. And have him against, like, Heath Slater. Again, they have history and all that, blah, blah, blah. Heath Slater, Big Show has a great match with Heath Slater because you have the Core on the outside, and they're attacking, they're trying to distract the referee, and it's just like it's an old school way of having, like, the babyface who's injured. He has, taped up ribs, and he finds a way out, and, with all those smoking mirrors, he finds a way to win. Then the last match on SmackDown, we have the Battle Royal to see who's going to be the final participant in the Money in the Bank, and we have Mark Henry. Mark Henry wins it. Wins to be part of the Money in the Bank. Now, Kane is taken out. Okay, Kane isn't, on this show because of his match that he had the previous week, and doctors are saying, he shouldn't be wrestling. The doctor's saying, you shouldn't wrestle. And Kane even does like a promo backstage where he says, I've had wars with my brother. I've had more, I've fought against bigger demons than Mark Henry. I think I can handle myself. Against doctors, doctor's orders, he wants to be part of the Money in the Bank. Teddy Long says, no, I don't think that's a good idea. But if you really want to be a part of this, I will give you that chance if you can beat this guy. And he faces like Ezekiel Jackson, and they have their match. Ezekiel Jackson beats Kane because Kane cannot get back into the ring. He's just destroyed. But Ezekiel Jackson isn't part of the Money in the Bank. It was just a qualifying match for Kane. It's not like whoever wins. Because I don't need that many big guys on the Money in the Bank. Now, 2011 Money in the Bank. The SmackDown Money in the Bank was one of the best. But I think the one that happened the year prior was better. Because there was some stuff that was way different that I liked. And one of those innovations were the Big Show giant ladder. With Big Show coming out with a huge ladder. And it was kayfabe-wise, it was like 200 pounds or 250 or something like that. Or 300, I don't know. I can't keep up with those kayfabe weight limits and stuff like that. So I like that. I like that idea of Big Show. Because if you remember, Big Show is trying to get on one of those regular ladders. And every time he gets on one of those rungs break. So he came out with his own ladder, and which can support his weight, and he's the only guy that can carry it. So I think in this match, it would be very interesting to have like everyone try to pick up this ladder but can't. Even heels trying to work together, babyfaces trying to work together and be like, we can put this in the ring and then we can fight over it and stuff like that. And it would be cool to have it like in the middle of the ring while everybody's fighting, and it's just towering on top of everyone, just an ominous figure on top of them. I think it would be cool, a cool visual. So you have Mark Henry, we have Big Show just destroy everybody, find a way to attack, destroy everybody. Spears through barricades and just, putting people through tables and breaking ladders and just destroying every single ladder around except for his own, and is about to go up top. Then Mark Henry is the only guy that can push that ladder. Not only that ladder, but Big Show in that metal rung of that ladder, and just and the commentators put it over like he's pushing 700 pounds, he's pushing 750 pounds, holy shit, Mark Henry is indeed the strongest man in the world. And he pushes Big Show, who hits one of the ropes, and let it be kayfabe, let one of the ropes break, let it be a big deal where the rope breaks because his weight is just too much. And then he picks that ladder up and then goes up top, rung by damn rung by damn rung by damn rung, and goes up top and unhooks that briefcase and takes that briefcase and becomes your Money in the Bank champion. Now, a lot of people might say, well, Daniel Bryan won it. What are you going to do with Daniel Bryan? Well, I can save Daniel Bryan for later. He didn't really need that Money in the Bank win. It was a good foot-in for his first world title, but I don't think he needed it. So we'll save that for later. Mark Henry wins the Money in the Bank. And Big Show is just destroyed. Like, he can't compete. Leading up to SummerSlam. We have the returning Kane against Mark Henry. And you have Mark Henry beat Kane and just destroy him. Then you have the street fight that happened at SummerSlam itself in 2011, and that was Randy Orton versus Christian for the world title, which was a great match. Capitalized on the ending. Randy Orton retains. You have Mark Henry come out and takes out Randy Orton, who can barely stand, and pins him, takes the world title at SummerSlam. Night of Champions, which is the month later. Now, leading up to Night of Champions, you have Randy Orton backstage. Randy Orton backstage doing promos, you have doing interviews, gets attacked. In the parking lot, gets attacked. He's in the shower, comes out, drying himself off, puts on a pair of pants, gets destroyed in the locker room and gets put through one of the glasses of the showers. Gets put through a locker, gets destroyed. Gets put through a wall at one point. Gets attacked in the parking lot, like I said. During an interview, he gets destroyed. So at Night of Champions, they face off against each other. Randy Orton is not 100%, not even close, not even a half of that. He gets destroyed in under 5 minutes. Randy Orton just, cleans his clock and puts him down. And, stands on top of him and just like, yes, I'm the champion, I'm the world champion. So then, after that, you have Christian. After Night of Champions, Mark Henry's celebrating, having his moment, and he says this is going to be the world's strongest party and stuff like that. And just happy about it, confetti and all that sort of stuff on SmackDown. You bring out Christian. Christian comes out with a present and says, this is for you, Mark, and it's basically a beautiful mural of Mark Henry, with the world championship and just looking great with his suit, with the championship and just, towering on top of people. Like, you can have him like that statue in Rio de Janeiro, and just looking on top of like people, and people ants by his feet. And Mark Henry is like, I like it, but I don't accept it, and throws it down. And Christian is like, okay, that's fine. I'm sorry if it wasn't that good. I did pay, a lot of money for it, but you know what? It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I think you're the greatest world champion of all time. I think you're the greatest of all time. Which is why I'm not invoking my rematch clause. I'm not invoking my rematch clause. I don't want my rematch. And you see right here, and he has like the contract for his rematch, and he tears it up. I don't want a part of it. I don't want a part. Although I would like to be, on your side, because I do believe that Mark Henry, together we can be unstoppable. Not saying that you're you're not unstoppable on your own, but I say sometimes you need direction. Even like a beast. A strong dragon like yourself does need guiding. You don't know sometimes the territories that you step on. Maybe you're too big to see us little people. Just make Christian be like this leech to Mark Henry. And Mark Henry doesn't want a part of it. And Mark Henry says, I don't need a sniveling, horrible, I don't need a sniveling rat by my side. Because this kingdom is mine. So Christian then, he week after week he's trying to get into Mark Henry's good graces, but Mark Henry doesn't want any part of it. Then Teddy Long says, we're going to have a match because Randy Orton is finally cleared. We're going to have a match. Well, not Randy Orton, sorry. Not Randy Orton. Well, Big Show is finally cleared. Haven't seen him for a while. Big Show is finally cleared. We're going to have a match between Big Show and Christian tonight. for the number one contendership to whoever's going to face Mark Henry at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell. Mark Henry is smiling, and he's like, I destroyed the Big Show before. I don't care. Christian, if he wins, good luck to him, because that will be his final day on Earth. And we have Big Show against Christian, and Big Show is just destroying Christian's, throwing him around, like a freaking rag doll. Then we hear Randy Orton's music comes out, and Big Show's like, what are you doing here? And then he RKO's Christian. Christian basically wins via DQ. Then he looks at, and then Big Show's like, what the hell are you doing? You cost me the match. And then he low blows the Big Show and hits him with an RKO. And then he gets on the mic and says, Mark Henry, I want my title. Mark Henry's in commentary, of course, and Mark Henry, says, you're not even cleared, man. You're not. You've got a death wish. I don't deliver on death wishes. So Teddy Long then comes out and says, since Randy Orton has a rematch clause, and since Christian has a rematch clause, and since the Big Show has just got screwed, we're going to change the main event for Hell in a Cell. We're going to have ourselves a fatal 4-way for the world title. Now, before I get to the match, I forgot to mention that, before, Christian was like, I don't care, let Big Show be the number one contender. I don't care. You can give him the title shot. But what Teddy Long says, if you don't compete, if you try to run away or anything like that against the Big Show, you will be suspended without pay, because there is no room on SmackDown, on my brand, for weaklings. And if you want a job on Raw, that's fine. Let Triple H handle you. And we all know how Triple H is fond of you. So Christian is like, holy shit, I have to wrestle. So, we got that plot hole out of the way. I hope that plot hole was filled. So we have Hell in a Cell between Mark Henry, Big Show, Christian, and Randy Orton for the world title inside Hell in a Cell. What we do is after a crazy match, destroying cell walls and all that sort of stuff, all those gimmicks, we have Christian, go crazy, go freaking bananas, and destroys Big Show and Randy Orton with a steel chair. Both guys beating them up, just, boom, 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 boom. And then, he's so happy at his work, and looks at Mark Henry, who just rose up, and he tells Mark Henry, what do you think, boss? You think that's cool? Have I made you proud, boss? Have I made you proud? And then Mark Henry says, you made me proud, I have to say. And then he shakes his hand. And Christian is like, yay. And then he hugs him, and then he gets on his shoulders, like how, Shaggy gets on Scooby's, arms. He's like, how you would carry a baby, basically. And he's like, on his shoulders, like, yeah. Mark Henry's smiling, and then he gets, he turns that smile into a freaking death glare. And then turns that into a World's Strongest Slam onto the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Mark Henry retains the world title. Go on to Vengeance. Vengeance, of course, Big Show and Randy Orton have their thing going on, so they have a match at Vengeance. We have Christian versus, not Christian. We have Sheamus now trying to go for the world title. And the idea would be that Sheamus just turned babyface, and we have him go on to Christian and say, what the hell are you doing, man? I used to respect you. I used to think that you were more than just a leech to big stars. But you've turned. You've become what I feared that you would be, what I feared a lot of people were saying, that I would, defend you, I would defend your honor and say to people, no, he's more than that. With all the championships that you've won, with all the great matches that you've accumulated, with every moment, every great moment that you have been a part of, that is what you go for? You become Mark Henry's bitch? And despite the fact what he did to you at Hell in a Cell, and despite the fact that he'd been throwing you around like a piece of trash, you still go back to him? There's something wrong with you. There is something psychologically wrong with you, so you need to get help. And Christian is like thinking about it. And then Sheamus said, I don't know about you, fella. You do your thing, but I don't agree with it. And your peeps, they're shrinking. They're shrinking because they used to look up to you, but now you're not even tall enough to be looked at. You're so minute that even the smallest microscope in the world can't even see you, because that is how low that you've gotten. Then he walks away. Christian's thinking about it. Then Sheamus gets on the mic, in the middle of the ring and talks about Mark Henry, talks about he wants a title shot and stuff like that. Christian then comes out and says, I've been thinking about what you've been saying to me, and I have to say that you're absolutely right. I have been a pushover. I have gotten to the lowest point of my life. So it's time for me to step up. And that's when he steps on Sheamus's foot and then low blows him and then hits him with a mic on the face. And then hits his unprettier on Sheamus and says, I will get back on top by stepping on your career first. And they have a match the following week. It goes nowhere because there's just too much going on. And then Sheamus beats Christian in a regular match, but Christian's just beating the shit out of Sheamus because he's just raking. This is a new Christian, where he just keeps on raking on Sheamus's face and just clawing and scratching and just grabbing his hair and just pulling his lips and just fish hooking him and just putting his fingers in his nose and just ranking on him and stuff like that. Just this is a different Christian. There's no move set. There's just, scrappiness. And at one point, he's got Sheamus in the corner. Then the ref is like, you got to get out of the way. You got to get out of the way. And Randy and Christian is like, hey, I've got until 5. And then he walks into a bro kick. Gets pinned 1, 2, 3. The following week, they have a street fight. And Sheamus goes over there as well. Even though the Christian, he just wailing at Sheamus, in frustration with, kendo sticks and stuff like that. But Sheamus is just way too strong. Sheamus beats Christian. Goes on to Vengeance. You have Sheamus against Mark Henry. And at one point, the ref is down. And both guys are just staring at each other and ready to continue their war. Christian comes out with a steel chair. And then he looks at Mark Henry. Looks at Sheamus. And then you think that he's going to attack Sheamus. Then he looks at Mark Henry. And then Mark Henry's like, what the hell are you doing? And Sheamus is like, walk away. I can do this on my own. Walk away. And the commentators say, what does he mean by that? Is Christian, joining forces with Sheamus? Are they going to double team Mark Henry? This is absolutely wrong. And he doesn't. He just throws the chair in the middle of the ring, in between Mark Henry and Sheamus, and walks away. Then Sheamus and Mark Henry fight over the chair. Then Mark Henry finally, he yanks the chair from Sheamus's hands, and he's smiling. He's like, yeah, now I'm about to destroy Sheamus with this steel chair. Goes in slow-mo, and Sheamus bro kicks the chair into Mark Henry's face. And he grabs the chair and is about to destroy Mark Henry. Christian comes out with another steel chair and hits Sheamus in the back. Sheamus falls forward on one knee, and then he gets hit again in the back. Sheamus, his face first on on his chair, and Christian hits his head with the other chair, concerto style. Then he walks away. He gets rid of the evidence, and then walks away. Mark Henry slowly crawls and pins Sheamus 1, 2, 3. He retains his title. Survivor Series. We've got Team Sheamus against Team Mark Henry. And the idea would be that, Sheamus, Mark Henry's made a lot of opponents, a lot of rivals, a lot of enemies. So it makes sense. You got to put them all in one. Big Show, Kane, and Randy Orton. Put Kofi Kingston in there and Santino. Let him face Mark Henry, Christian, and the Core. Okay? They face off against, Team Sheamus. And you have Team Mark Henry go over by having the last two on Team Henry be Mark Henry and Christian against Sheamus. Sheamus will be the last guy. And Sheamus gets destroyed. His weight, Henry and Christian are way too much for him. And they pin him 1, 2, 3. And Sheamus and Mark Henry and Christian are just so happy. Christian gets onto Mark Henry's arms, and this is reminiscent of Hell in a Cell. And he's so happy. He's kissing Mark Henry on the forehead and just so happy about it. It's like, whoa, we did it. We did it. Mark Henry is happy as well. And then instead of going for the World's Strongest Slam, he puts him down gently. And then both guys are so happy and stuff like that. They're looking at each other. Then Christian low blows Mark Henry. Mark Henry is down in one leg, and Christian has that face. The face. Grabs the world title, looks at it for a second, hits Mark Henry in the face. Then Mark Henry is on his back. Christian gets on top of him, and he raises that world title. And then he throws it onto Henry's chest and walks away. Throwing his elbow pads and, taking off his wrist tape, walking to the back. What the hell did we just see? SmackDown, we've got a battle royal with the winner facing Mark Henry at the following pay-per-view. And we have Christian go over, wins the number one contendership. Mark Henry comes out and he's all smiles and says, I respect you for what you did. I respect you for what you did last Sunday at Survivor Series. But you see, you've woken a sleeping giant. Because I've been beating people up in my sleep. I'm beating 7-foot-tall monsters in my sleep. I've been destroying Celtic warriors. I've been eating up vipers in my sleep. What do you think I'm gonna do to you when we get to TLC? Christian says, that's funny. That's funny. You bring up TLC. Because what you don't realize, what all these people don't realize, that at TLC, we're gonna face each other. But not in a regular match, because what people don't realize is that I didn't just win a match to become number one contender. I also got an opportunity to pick the match that I want to face you in. And what better match would it be? Because I will give you this. If this was a regular match, you would eat me up, store me in the fridge, and go back for seconds. You will destroy me. You will rip me up limb from limb. But you see, we're not going to have a regular match. We're going to have a match that I and one of my best friends in the world, have innovated. Because it's not going to be a regular match. What fun is there in a regular match? we're going to have a match that I can thrive in, that you've never been in. A match that is out of your comfort zone, and a match where I am king. A match that I've won multiple times because I am that good. Because what I'm going to turn these ropes, these four corners into, this coming pay-per-view, what I'm going to turn it into, I'm going to turn it into a battlefield. And the weapons that I'm going to have are going to be weapons that I specialize in. Because at TLC, we will have a tables, ladders, and chairs match. And at TLC, there will be a new silverback to be crowned in this jungle. Walks away. And we have that match at TLC between Mark Henry and Christian. And the TLC, Christian just throws everything but the kitchen sink. At one point, Henry's like in the middle part of the ladder, and Christian, he spears him through one. He spears him, but he shoulder tackles him. Mark Henry wouldn't go down. Goes on the other side, shoulder tackles him, doesn't go down. Then finally, he hits him with one of those ladders, and then he spears him from the corner, and Mark Henry's on the ladder. Try to picture this. Spears him, and then Mark Henry falls backwards on one of the tables. One of those spots. Crazy spots that I would have in this match. And the final moment would be Mark Henry, World's Strongest Slam, where he does a big splash on Christian from the middle part of a ladder onto Christian, who's on the announcer's table. Then Mark Henry gets back into the ring, goes up top. As he's going for the title, Christian's just crawling, trying to get into the ring, Gets into the ring and just tries to puts one hand on the ladder like, no. And Henry pulls that championship off. Henry retains. Christian's come so close in winning, but he doesn't. He doesn't win that. Then we have New Year's. Before that, we have the 30th of December SmackDown, which is the final SmackDown of 2011. We have Sheamus against Mark Henry in the main event. And Mark Henry's like, fuck it, I'm going to get counted out. I don't care. I don't care about this match. I want to go home and be, 100% and enjoy my time with my family. The week after that, he gets intentionally disqualified after like a 5-minute match. Gets intentionally disqualified and is like, you don't get another shot. Huh. Fuck you. Teddy Long comes out and then says, you know what? You've been avoiding Sheamus for far too long. So, no bullshit. Royal Rumble, you two are going to face each other in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Where, basically Falls Count Anywhere. And Sheamus gets on the mic and says, this is absolutely wonderful because we can take this everywhere. We can take this to the stands, we can take this to the streets, we can take this to the subways, we can take this to France, and it will still be eligible. My pinfall would be still eligible. Me pinning your shoulders to whatever environment that we're in is going to be eligible, and I will win that world championship. And at Royal Rumble, basically, we would come close to that. And even the promos that Mark Henry would say that is like, you know what, Sheamus, you're perfect. I cannot think of a flaw in you because you're perfect. You're 6'5". You're 250 pounds. The women love you, and men want to be like you. WWE wants you to be champion. WWE wants you to be the top guy because you're a marketable face for this company. You can go on interviews. You can go on on social media, you can go on movies, you can go on shows, you can be on the cover of magazines. But look at me. I'm not the guy that cosmetically qualifies to be in that position. But what I can be is the ass kicker that people need in this business. Because there's no one in that locker room. They can all team up together and try to take me down, but no one can. Because at the Royal Rumble, despite everything that you've got going for you, it's not going to be enough to take me down. People have been trying to do that for 15 years, and no one has even come close. You've been in this company for the last 2 years, and I can see there are chinks in your armor. While in those 15 years, I've gotten better. I'm wiser, I'm smarter. Hell, I'm even a little bit older. But that means that I've got enough mileage to know what to do and what not to do. And people have been saying that I've been trying to avoid you for the past 2 weeks. No. I haven't been trying to avoid you contacting me. I've been trying to avoid me killing you, because you know I can do it. You know I can break your neck like a twig. You know I'm the strongest man in the world. You know I can snap any part of your body without even putting pressure on. That's how strong I am. You see, being the strongest man in the world is not a nickname. It's something that I've earned. And not a lot of people know that. And at Royal Rumble, you will witness firsthand why I am the king of this jungle. And you have the match at Royal Rumble. They go everywhere, stands, streets. There was one point Mark Henry tries to run over Sheamus, but he hits a couple of boxes. Don't want him having an accident or something like that where I don't want him to have a fender bender, because it's just way too risky. Have him just run over a couple of boxes. So that's it, and then attack Sheamus and stuff like that. Bro kicks and just putting him on windshields and stuff like that. Then ending would be Mark Henry doing the world's strongest slam onto one of the roofs of the cars, and the roof caves in, and just 1, 2, 3, Mark Henry retains the title. Now, since Sheamus isn't winning the Rumble, who does? Daniel Bryan. Now, what Adam said, did make sense, that we don't want to stir away from him being misused, because that is the essence of the Yes Movement. I don't think that. No. Would Bret Hart be still as over today if he didn't win the title on a house show against Ric Flair? Would he still been over? I think so. It doesn't matter when that person... Because here's the thing. A star is a star no matter what. And Daniel Bryan is a star. It doesn't matter what kind of, storylines you put him in through. It doesn't matter, what kind of programs, if you use him or misuse him. People will still recognize Daniel Bryan as he is, because he's genuine. That's the reason why people love Bret Hart, because what he says, he absolutely believes. No matter if you agree or disagree, people will still believe it. So Daniel Bryan winning the Rumble makes absolute sense, because you need a main eventer on SmackDown. You need a new main eventer, and not just that, but you need a new face. So having Daniel Bryan go on to WrestleMania and facing the world champion makes sense, instead of having him as a heel champion going on to WrestleMania, because Yeah, I didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with that whole storyline of him being a heel. I was never on board with it because he was too likable. He was too likable. You can't, no matter who you are, you can't accept him as a heel. Unless, it's Ring of Honor and stuff like that, because he was fucking vicious there. On SmackDown, him trying to talk down to AJ Lee, I thought it was funny. It was never just, I don't know, even at one point, I remember one of those backstage fallouts, Daniel Bryan goes into onto the camera and he says, I'm a man because I've got a beard. It's just, it's funny. It's fucking hilarious. You can't have him as a top heel. Top babyface? Absolutely. Ultimate underdog, that's fine. So what I would do is have him be the ultimate underdog and let Elimination Chamber be the night off for Daniel Bryan and Mark Henry, because I hate when the champion has to defend his title in an Elimination Chamber match just a month away from WrestleMania. I mean, he could get injured or something like that. I believe that was one of the reasons why Edge, he retired, was because of Elimination Chamber. He had a crazy Elimination Chamber match a month before WrestleMania, and then he had his match at WrestleMania, and then it was just way too much. So, don't do that. Let it be the night off. Let the Elimination Chamber matches be for the Intercontinental and the United States titles, and let the World Champion take a night off. Do the contract signing there. I think it would be interesting. Have Mark Henry cut a promo on Daniel Bryan and says, you need to go back to the Indies. You don't even deserve to be, in the same ring as I am. You have no right in facing me at WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is where superstars become legends, and you're not even a superstar. Daniel Bryan then says, you see, I would rather face, because a lot of people have been saying, I need to go back to the Indies. I need to wrestle in front of 20 people again. Well, I would rather wrestle in front of 20 rowdy, passionate people who are into wrestling than 15,000 people that don't even care about the product, because that's what it's been for you. The last 15 years, your matches stunk. People didn't care about your matches. People don't want to see you. And for the last 15 years, your matches were when people would take a break and go to the bathroom. They're like, holy shit, Mark Henry's on. We don't care about Mark Henry. But you see, you've got the chance to change it at WrestleMania. You've got a chance to change that at WrestleMania by bringing your absolute best and proving to people that you deserve that world title, because having the world championship means you're on top of the game, on top of your game in WWE. You're the best at what you do. You're the best in WWE. You're the biggest ambassador in WWE. It means you bring the most eyeballs to your product. And what's the point of bringing all those eyeballs yet turning away from the champion? I want to hold that championship and be named in the same breath. I'd be in the same sentence as guys like Ric Flair, Harley Race, and Dusty Rhodes. I want to be known as one of the best ever, and the only way to do that is by being World Heavyweight Champion, by holding that prestigious championship that's been around the past 100 years. And me holding that championship means that I am the best. I care about this more than you do, and that championship means more to me, even though that I've never tasted it. It means more to me than it will ever mean to you. 15 years ago, you were handed a contract. I had to scratch and claw, being in absolute wars in those indies that people, turn their nose at. I had to scratch and claw to be here. And it took me a year to get where I am, winning the Rumble, facing you at the main event of WrestleMania. What does that say about me? Against you, who have never main event at WrestleMania, who has never held that championship until the past 6 months. Does that mean I'm better than you? Well, I'm definitely going to prove that at WrestleMania. And then Mark Henry says, well, you know what? You talk a big game, kid. You talk a big game. But we'll see if you're going to back it up, because it's no secret that WrestleMania is the biggest payday. And I'm looking forward to get that biggest paycheck that I've ever gotten in my life. Because being in the main event of WrestleMania means more money, means more security, means I can sit at home while my kids go off to college, and I can watch back my greatest hits while I'm in the comfort of my home, while I'm snuggling with my wife. That means I can retire on top and be the only person that can say that, the unbeaten champion. And you see, you talk a big game, kid, you talk a big game. And you want to be in the history books, that's fine, you will be. You will be in the history books as the final guy, the man that was last to try to bring down the giant. Because you're the only David that's not going to take down Goliath. You don't have the slingshot. You don't have the big enough slingshot to bring me down. Because at WrestleMania, you will be famous. You will be the last inductee in the Hall of Pain. We go to WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan goes over. And this will be the time where I will have him do everything. Flying headbutt, the cross faces, the topes, all that sort of stuff. Even debuts the flying knee, but Mark Henry gets out of it. Daniel Bryan gets out of the World's Strongest Slam. He's the first guy to ever get out of the World's Strongest Slam. The big splash, all of that. Then Mark Henry goes for the second rope, goes for the big splash. Daniel Bryan moves out of the way and then rolls up Mark Henry. 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan wins the championship. Happy, confetti, all that sort of stuff. Mark Henry, he celebrates with Daniel Bryan. He looks like that he's about to turn on Daniel Bryan, but instead he takes the championship, hands it to Daniel Bryan, and then he puts him on his shoulders and says, "This is the guy. This is the number one guy." Mark Henry goes away for a while, and then comes back around SummerSlam. They have their rematch. They have a great match, babyface versus babyface, but Big Show comes out and fucks it up, turns heel. You have then Big Show be suspended. Then at Night of Champions, you have Mark Henry have his last match there against Daniel Bryan, where Daniel Bryan wins clean. And then Daniel Bryan can go on to face Big Show for a while. Because I believe that Mark Henry, if he's going to retire, if anybody is going to retire, they need to retire on a show that's built around them. It shouldn't be on WrestleMania, where WrestleMania is the spectacle, where it's built around WWE instead of built around one single person. Let it be on a throwaway show, because Survivor Series 2015 I thought was the perfect way for The Undertaker to retire. You had the amazing entrance with the holograms behind him and all that sort of stuff. All that would have been perfect for him to retire. But he didn't. He continued to WrestleMania. So if he's going to ever, if he's ever going to retire at Survivor Series, the show that he debuted in, let it be that. Let Mark Henry, retire at Night of Champions, boost up those buys, and let it be a replayable show, because I think that would be great. Instead of having him at WrestleMania where he gets lost in the shuffle. Because remember, WrestleMania 28, you have The Rock versus Cena. You had the End of the Era match between Triple H and The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell. You had Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. You had, Big Show winning his first Intercontinental title. All of that. And you've got Mark Henry's retirement in there. It would be forgettable. It would be absolutely forgettable. So, with that being said, rate, comment, favorite, and please subscribe. Tell me what you think about this, about my idea, which I believe is better. If you're going to disagree with me, tell me how you would do it different. Until then, take care and stay tuned, where I'll be talking about something.